This is Alaska Airlines Horizon pilot, 44-year-old Joseph David Emerson. And on Sunday, October 22nd, this past weekend, while in the jump seat of Horizon Air Flight 2059 from Everett to San Francisco at 31,000 feet above Portland, Oregon in the U.S., Emerson almost killed more people than the Green River serial killer and Ted Bundy combined. And if you include the possible fatalities on the ground, well, just throw in any couple of famous serial killers from the US and this might have still topped them all. If you're one of the few aviation lovers who haven't heard this story yet, well, sit back and buckle your seatbelt. Because if it weren't for the quick-thinking pilots actually flying the plane, this story would have had a much more tragic ending than anyone could have imagined. That's next on Maximus. Greetings everybody, Maximus here. Well, normally I would start this off by playing the cockpit audio of the incident for you, but the guy over at atc.net is ruthless when it comes to litigious action against YouTube channels for playing any cockpit audio his website captures. But I'll still take the high road and include a link for those of you who haven't heard it yet. Well, thankfully, Joseph David Emerson is sitting in a Portland, Oregon jail awaiting his first appearance on 83 felony counts of attempted murder and 83 felony counts of reckless endangerment and 1 count of endangering an aircraft. But for reasons still unknown, while he was awarded a perk given to airline pilots all over the world of flying for free in the jump seat on Horizon Air Flight 2059 from Everett, Washington to San Francisco, California, this jackwagon suddenly stood up and grabbed 2 handfuls of engine fire extinguisher levers and yanked them both at the same time. By pulling the fire handles that are used only in cases of the most dire of circumstances, it closes that engine's fuel supply valves, turns off its hydraulic pumps, trips its electrical system's generators, closes the pneumatic bleed valves, and a few other things. So it leaves your plane without engines, turning your jet into a heavy and dangerous glider. However, you can push the levers back in and basically reverse all of that, and the engines can be restarted again. And thankfully, that's exactly what happened. While details are still unclear, somehow as the captain was recovering the aircraft, the first officer began subduing Emerson until the captain could jump in. Whether the flight crew managed this on their own or called other crew members is still not known. However, the jump seat pilot with a death wish was restrained and thrown in the back of the plane. I'd like to imagine all the passengers took turns beating him with bars of soap the whole way back to the airport. The plane was at cruise altitude when the incident occurred, and that's when one of the pilots on the flight is heard on the ATC audio recording, telling air traffic controllers that the suspect tried to shut the engines down. I think he's subdued now, the pilot said. Other than that, the captain said we want law enforcement as soon as we get on the ground and are parked. When the tower asked the captain to assess his threat level on a scale of 1 to 4, 4 being the most dangerous, the captain responded of 4. The flight was diverted to Portland International Airport, where Emerson was taken into custody and booked into the Multnomah County Jail. The Multnomah County Sheriff's Office website shows that an Alaska Airlines pilot, Joe Emerson, 44, was arrested by Port of Portland police and booked into jail just after 4 a.m. October 23rd, Monday morning. The booking site shows Emerson is being held on 83 counts of suspicion of attempted murder, 83 counts of reckless endangerment, and 1 count of endangering an aircraft. I tried to get this guy's booking photo, but in this new woke era, especially in the northwestern US, they stopped publishing booking photos of inmates because they didn't want to bring shame to felons. Oh, and for you professional flight crews out there, if soon you can't enjoy the perk of a free jump seat flight to your next city, you can blame Joseph David Emerson for that. Yes, this is indeed why we can't have nice things. The engine fire suppression system of the E-175 jet is activated by 2 handles on the instrument panel on the ceiling of the cockpit above the pilots. One controlling the left engine is above the right shoulder of the captain in the left seat, and the other is about the left shoulder of the first officer in the right seat. To activate, they must reach up and pull the handle down and turn it and lock it in place. Alaska Air spokesperson Alexa Rudin said that fortunately some residual fuel remains in the line, and the quick reaction of our crew to reset the handles restored fuel flow and prevented fuel starvation. This incident caused the FAA to warn all U.S. airlines in a memo advising them to be on alert for similar cases in the future. A former Horizon Air E-175 pilot, now flying for Alaska Airlines, speaking anonymously because he did so without authorization, explained that the pilot in the jump seat, which is located in the middle just behind the two pilots flying, would have been positioned to potentially pull both handles at once. In a statement, the FBI said it's investigating and can assure the traveling public there is no continuing threat related to this incident. So I needed to find out who this Death Wish pilot was, and I found some answers over at theheavy.com. And it seems that Emerson has had a bit of a footprint on social media in the past in his complaints about various airline pilot-related issues. On Twitter, they found some posts from a Joseph David Emerson, writing as Joe Emerson, who wrote about labor issues faced by pilots. He tweeted them at the then Democratic majority at the time. His tweets seemed to be most prolific in December of 2020 during the pandemic. He tweeted, "The future of air travel remains highly depressed. Immediate relief for the hashtag airline industry is critical to support our economic rebuilding. Don't let our voices go unheard." You can see the various politicians he tagged in each post. He also tweeted that month that my fellow pilots and I need to provide relief for the hashtag aviation industry. The livelihoods of tens of thousands of hardworking Americans are in your hands. Hashtag extend PSP now. I can't recall what PSP was. I'm sure it had something to do with the pandemic, so if you know, let me know down below. Emerson also wrote that the U.S. airline industry and its pilots are essential to the distribution of the vaccine. Congress and government leaders must extend PSP now to ensure critical infrastructure is in place to distribute the vaccine. American lives depend on it. At Senator Kamala Harris. And also, thousands of my fellow pilots have been furloughed. Inaction has consequences. We need relief now. Extend PSP to help U.S. aviation workers before December 18. The longer we delay, the more lives will be shattered and the economy stalled. Then back in 2016, he tweeted that the time has come for the U.S. Department of Transportation and White House to stand with U.S. aviation workers and enforce our trade agreements. Support for U.S. jobs, hashtag deny NAI. Yeah, I don't know what this guy's politics were, nor do I really care. But in hindsight, it looks like he was starting to come unglued for a while. Other than sports tweets, most of his tweets are about the airline labor issues. As far as other posts on social media goes, I went to Emerson's Facebook page, and by all impressions, he seems like a loving dad and husband and family man who just posted about family things in sports. FAA records show Emerson held an airline transport pilot certification with ratings to fly the Airbus A320, Boeing 737, Canada Air Regional Jet, and de Havilland-8. However, he did not hold a certificate to fly the ERJ-175, the plane he tried to bring down. And of course, a neighbor said that Emerson's alleged behavior was very shocking. The neighbor told CNN that he seems like a really nice guy, nothing abnormal about him. Said every serial killer's neighbor ever. Alaska Airlines said that the rest of Flight 2059's passengers were able to travel on a later flight. The airline added that we are grateful for the professional handling of the situation by the Horizon flight crew and appreciate our guests' calm and patience throughout this event. And I'll close with this. In all seriousness, I understand this guy may have been a normal dude, a loving father and family man, and I can sympathize if he suffered a breakdown of some kind. However, none of that could excuse the pain and misery his selfish act could have caused and brought to 83 other families of strangers he never met, who also were loving moms and dads with extraordinary lives to live, and people who loved them too. And for that, first, he must be punished. And along with that punishment, if he can find some mental help along the way, well, good for him. I hope he finds it. Well, that's going to wrap it up for now. As always, I look forward to your comments on the situation, so be sure to let me know down below. And as always, remember, leave the rubber on the runway and your troubles on the ground. And I will see you next time in the air. Yeah, this is Maximus.